Hi everybody, this is my first YouTube video on my new channel Clarajodesigns. So just wanted to introduce myself and tell you all about Clarajodesigns and what you might be able to get from the videos coming up on this channel. So my name's Claire Manning and I set up Clarajodesigns as a card maker and paper crafter. So lately I've been, maybe over the last few months, selling my cards online and developing all my papercraft techniques using loads of different tools and techniques to be able to develop that further. So I've been asked by a few people if I would do tutorials on some of those. So yeah, so hopefully that's something that I'll be able to do on this channel. I'll show you a few of my cards today that I've done recently, and hopefully you'll like those, and maybe you can give me some tips on what kind of things that you'll be wanting your tutorials on. So there'll be more technique based tutorials rather than this is how you make this specific card. So really about how I use the tools and supplies that I've got, and things like stamps, dies, foils, and the machines that I've got, die cutting machines, foiling machines, and how I use those to get the different looks in my cards. So my style generally is quite clean and simple cards. I got into card making by initially starting off playing around with some watercolour painting and some sketching with things like fine liner pens, pencils, and combining watercolouring with that. And then I found that I was putting some of those designs on cards to give to friends and family anyway, and I started like playing around, maybe drawing some characters and things like that, making a few cards, and then got super into it and bought everything that I could possibly get in terms of like stamps, dies, things like that, to take my paper crafting further. So let's show you a couple of cards that I've made. So as I said, I started off watercolouring, and this is one of the first characters that I made, and his little cat, he's called Sebastian, and I made quite a few cards with him on, and you can see that I initially drew this design, not the backing paper but the cat design itself, with pencil, fine lined it, and then added some watercolour, and I did him in loads of different styles, unicorn and birthday ones, Christmas ones, that kind of thing. So sorry for the pause there, my son just came in from school, so I just said hi to him. So yep, we've got where it started off with the watercolour, and then started getting some supplies, things like stamps and dies. Actually, I didn't invest too much money to start off with. I would buy things like a few crafting magazines where you got free stamps and dies with them, and papers and things like that, and started going to some of the cheaper shops where you can get supplies, just to kind of test the waters and see whether it was something that I really liked and wanted to stick to before I started investing in things like die cutting machines, more expensive stamp sets. Obviously I loved it and carried on, so there's a few brands now that are my favourites. I'm going to show you a few cards I've used using supplies from those brands, and tell me whether you like those too, what kind of brands you use for your craft making. So first of all, sorry, I've got a huge pile of cards here. My absolute all-time favourite craft brand is Altenew, which is an American brand, but they also sell over here in the UK. They will ship over here, and they're very often featured on Create and Craft TV. So here's some cards that I've made using their supplies. So they do these lovely layered dies. Sorry, the words are flipped, but I'm using a kind of selfie camera here. So I've just added that very simple card with some foil, cut out all these dies, coloured them with some alcohol pens. And then this is an Altenew backing paper and some lettering stickers that they have. And again, I've just added a bit of foil to that. And then these are a couple of number cards, again with their backing papers, and just a few die cut circles. So I really like kind of simple cards where there's one or two focus on there. So foiling techniques is one of the things I'm quite happy to do a tutorial on. I absolutely adore foiling, so I'd be quite happy to do that. Another brand I like to use for their papers is Trimcraft. So they do these gorgeous first edition papers that I'll show you. I've got a couple of pads of those at the moment, but this is from the Wonderlust pad, this back paper here with the roses on, and I just made that into a bit of a shaker card. Shaker cards don't really work on video today, but you can see, and we can do tutorials and things like that as well if you like. Let me show you the papers. I think I've got them here. I think they do papers in 3 different size pads, but I've only got 2. I've got an 8x8 in the Wonderlust, and you can see they've got some foily ones. You always get a pearlescent one, and some of them are double-sided, and they're really good value, quite thick paper pads, and they're really quite, they're more like cardstock really. They're called papers, but they're like 200 GSM, so they're card. And then they do a huge 12x12, and I've got this in the Beyond the Shore, which is gorgeous and mermaidy. And again, you always get like a glittery one, a pearly one, a bit of foil, that kind of thing. So Trimcraft is fab for those. What else have we got? I really like Hunky Dory stamps as well. They do loads of cute little stamps. My favourite at the moment is this cheese set. So again, sorry about the flipped writing. And I made a couple of these little cheese cards. I've had loads of requests for a Valentine's one where I did the brie on there with the sentiment brie mine. So everybody loves a pun, don't they? What else have we got? Oh yes, I must mention this brand. So there's a wonderful lady called Tony Darroch who owns a company called Stamps by Me Limited. So she does stamps, dies, inks. They're all amazing, and she's a lovely lady. And these are some of the cards that I've made recently using her stamps. So she does these beautiful floral stamps where you can kind of layer them up. So you tend to get, I use part of it here with some ink and some water to give a watercolour effect. But then with each stamp you always get as well like this sketched outline that she's always drawn herself. So you can kind of layer them up as you want. And again, you can tell I love the foil. She also did dies. So check out her website. And as I say, she's on Create and Craft TV as well. Her dies are called Synergy dies, and I've got a set that includes, it's called Just the Right Words, I think, and it's got loads of word dies, you, thank you, oh thanks, sorry, love, that kind of thing, and they're really, really useful. So this card, I don't know if I tip it like that, I've actually die cut it 5 times out of different, or 6 I think, out of like kind of rainbow colour, and then topped it with the black, just to give a really, almost like a chipboard embellishment effect. It's really kind of stands out, and then I just had a bit glossy accents just to make it shiny. So again, simple card, but it's just using the different techniques. So other than cards, I do occasionally dabble in a little bit of home decor or other odd bits of paper craft. I've made some boxes and things like that to put people's cards in if they're very thick, or for Christmas gifts, birthday gifts, that kind of thing. It's not something I do every day, but I have a nice scoreboard, the Hunky Dory Adorable Scoreable, so if I do need to knock up a box, that's fine. And sometimes I'll make odd little bits and pieces to give out to people, like some little bookmarks here with some nice cardstock. And this is something I made last week, which is my first piece of home decor wall art, using those lovely Altenew layered dies again to give a really good, I don't know whether you can see, there's like a 3D effect. So I've hand coloured all those and then just added a little bit of foil on the bottom, and then that's just on a piece of MDF with some string. So that's something quite new for me, but I enjoyed it. So again, we can look at things like that in tutorials. So I'm kind of aware that some of you follow me on social media for the card making inspiration, and others just kind of want to know what's going on in my shop and what kind of cards I'm selling at the moment. So I'll hope to do some videos to tailor both of that, really. So new things that are coming up in the shop, and like sneak previews and things like that, depending on what's going on in the year. So next there'll be Mother's Day cards, Easter cards, what else have we got coming up? There'll be some wedding things coming up in the summer, Father's Day, that kind of stuff. And then for the people, the other crafters, people that are just starting out in paper crafting, I'll do some basic tutorials, basic card making, some techniques, and then hopefully get some more advanced stuff on there as well for people that want to look at some new techniques in their paper crafting. So I won't bore you too much longer. I hope that's okay for my first video and you've seen what kind of style of stuff that I do. Please feel free to get in contact. There'll be a link to my email, Etsy shop, Instagram, that kind of thing below. Oh, just one last thing before I go. So I'm not some professional with a studio. I just do this at home. Yes, as a business, but I don't have a big posh studio at the moment yet. So at the moment, this is my storage for all my craft stuff that I've done under the floor, under the stairs, sorry. So yeah, I have to make do with that. And I don't know whether you can see, this is my workspace at the moment. If I just turn this around, so I kind of take over a dining room table with all my stuff. So yeah, I'm getting there and building it all up slowly as a business. So maybe one day I'll have a nice little studio. But I'm sure, like most of you, you know, some people have a room, some people just have a desk or a corner of a room to do their crafting. It really doesn't matter. You can do stuff in the smallest of spaces if you really want to. A tray on your lap while you're watching TV, for example. So great, I hope to see you soon. Please feel free to share anything that you like of mine on my social media, or some inspiration, like I say, ideas for tutorials, that kind of thing. Get in touch and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.